Elden Ring Nightreign is a FromSoftware game which recently came out. It's an ARPG that is from the Legends of Dark Souls and of the original Elden Ring game. They took a wild chance at doing a cooperative roguelike formats. This game is built for a 3-player format, but is playable solo, though we'll get into that more. I have spent about 5 to 6 hours of the game, and I think I have a decent view of what the game is and going forward what I think they should do to help improve it. So this is Elden Ring Nightreign. Nightreign starts off decently well. With this opening area, they give you the basics of how everything works, as is per standard from all Elden Ring series and of Dark Souls. Now, after you either beat the first boss or you die, the game will take you to the initial starting stage, which is the round table. And that is where you're going to meet the Duchess, who's the main character that you're going to interact with. Now, there are different classes that you can play, from Ranger to Mage, and to melee, and as well as support. It offers what they would call a dynamic map, which is really just the same map with different layers that they'll add on depending on what mode you're going to be doing. But it has a 3-day cycle, which is not a bad thing, but it does end up like you are often being pushed too fast without getting proper gear onto the next stage boss. If you're playing at least solo, you're going to have a harder time collecting the gear as well as upgrading your equipment, because it's going to be a lot harder to face the bosses when you have such a finite amount of time. But if you are playing with a group, this game can be fun, as long as they don't all suck. Now, they do have an upgrading system, which you can collect relics for which you can attach to your character outside of the 3-day cycle, which honestly to me was lackluster, didn't really have the degree that I was hoping for. It left a lot to be desired. Now, going from there, you have the story, which is always going to be sparse when it comes to Dark Souls environments. And I mean, it's Elden Ring, and unfortunately, because of the lackluster story and the fact that it's an open map that you have very little time to go through and explore, yeah, I honestly find myself bored out of my mind throughout my gameplay. Especially playing solo, they're running 50-40% of the time from area to area. And that's cool that you could have infinite running outside of combat, but man, you're gonna have a better time playing with friends and strangers than by yourself. And you definitely have a lot more time to get gear and to make sure that you're having the proper equipment set up so that you can get further into beating the bosses if you're with a group. But if you're solo, you're gonna have a harder time. The game's gonna take longer to get through. One major issue in this game that I will point out is that they do not have an in-game voice chat. For the life of me, do not understand why you would create a game that is going to be based off of playing with other players as part of its core mechanic, and you do not have an ability to talk to those players. So you better hope you don't get a troll that just goes off to left and right and says, fuck you, I don't want to help you. It really hampers the replayability of this game, because you can't talk to them, you can't type. There is literally no way to communicate through outside of pings, which, woo, whoop-de-doo, man, pings are annoying. Elden Ring Nightreign is an average game at most, and I don't think it pushes any boundaries. The gameplay is the exceptional standard that is all Dark Souls, especially the Elden Ring standard. It's the same combat style. The issue with communication is a major problem. I also think that having to run through this open world where you're spending so much time running from area to area to area versus fighting your way through and feeling like you're getting stronger, I felt like I was wasting my time. And look, for a $40 game, is it worth getting if you're playing with friends? Absolutely. I think this game is fun to play with people. But if you're trying to go the solo, you're going to be bored. You're going to be really, really bored. This game's sustain is not going to be long-term, because there's only a finite amount of stuff that you can do per run, and with the lackluster of upgrading abilities, where you don't feel like you're getting stronger each time you're going through, it feels like I'm in the endless repeat void, which, for me at least, I don't enjoy. Other than that, the rest of the game, I don't really have a lot to be negative about. It's average. The visuals are average. They're the standard that we've expected from them. The combat's the same way. The dialogue is just the same. There's nothing exceptional, but there's nothing terrible. And I think long-term audiences are going to stop playing unless they make some major adjustments to either the scale of the map, or they need to add more enemies, find different ways to level up your character where there's an incentive to keep going forward, because the current incentive is not really there. I know what they were trying to go with it. it doesn't cut it. And my last thing is this. I am highly unlikely to ever go back to this game. I'm just not. Like, unless I'm playing with friends that I can communicate through a Discord, which the fact that I have to set that up is ridiculous. No, I'm not going to come back and play this game. I was bored. It's not fun to me. I'm out. I'm out.